All right, let's move on here because this is kind of a huge deal. So let me throw this up on screen for you. This is in the New York Times. A middle finger to every Maha mom. Trump has ordered the government to ramp up production of the weed killer glyphosate, citing national defense. Maha is furious. Kennedy, in an awkward spot, issued a statement backing Trump. So, by the way, I don't know if you know this about RFK. He was a lawyer in a case going against Monsanto over glyphosate and won millions of dollars for his client.
Wow.
Basically said, like, hey, this stuff causes cancer. My guy got sick. Y'all got to pay up. And he won.
Wow.
And he won. This is when he still had some semblance of good in him, right? Now he's like, I back Trump completely. I think it's actually the right idea to allow glyphosate. In fact, let me throw up here now for you some of the executive order. So it says, promoting the national defense by ensuring an adequate supply of elemental phosphorus and glyphosate-based herbicides. And then it says the following. The new Republican House Farm Bill quietly advances pesticide immunity from harm for companies. Section 10205, this provision blocks states and local governments from acquiring any warnings beyond what the EPA approves, shielding companies from liability.
Wow.
Then it says this provision stops cities and counties from enforcing their own pesticide rules, giving all regulatory power to state and federal authorities. And then it says this amendment declares that using pesticides exactly as EPA approved is automatically legal and overrides other environmental protections that might require permits. So what they're doing is usurping the power of the states and even like cities and localities. And they're saying, no, what we say is the end all be all. You're not even allowed to regulate environmental stuff at the state level. And we're totally greenlighting glyphosate and you can't sue over it. So if you get sick, you get cancer, you die, doesn't fucking matter, fuck off. That's effectively what's happening here. And they're doing the same thing with gambling now, too. They're doing the same thing where it's like, oh, states are trying to regulate these prediction market, which is just legalized gambling. And they go, you're not allowed to do that. We're going to block you from doing that. So this is insane. This is deregulation run amok. It's actually worse than just deregulation because Trump is using the Defense Production Act to say, let's have more glyphosate. So this is, I mean, look. Same thing with Tulsi, how she was anti-war and then Trump does 1,000 wars and now she's got nothing to say. And if anything, she backs those wars. This is that moment for RFK.
Yeah, well, you know? and it's the most profound moment for him, but there have been many. I mean, even from him being forced to eat McDonald's on the plane with Trump. Like, the humiliation started early. RFK Jr. is in the Epstein files. You know, you have to ask yourself about that, too. Like, what does Trump potentially know about him or think about him? Or what does RFK Jr. think that Trump might know about him, et cetera? There's a reason why there are so many of these people in the Trump administration, because it gives Trump leverage over them. It's a form of coerced loyalty, right? Like Howard Lutnick, for example. You know, that's great for Trump that Howard Lutnick is in the Epstein files. It's great for him that RFK Jr. is in the Epstein files. This is how this network ultimately operates. But yeah, I mean, RFK Jr., not like 10 years ago, literally in 2024, he said the chemicals like glyphosate pollute our bodies the same way they pollute the soil. In a report that he issued last year, a commission he chaired to examine the causes of chronic disease singled out glyphosate and another pesticide, atrazine, as potentially harmful to children. Bayer bought Monsanto, and they just reached an agreement that would pay plaintiffs $7.25 billion to settle what was tens of thousands of lawsuits alleging that Roundup had caused cancer. I actually have a friend who was on that case, like as the litigator for the people who were saying that they got cancer from Roundup. And this was this has been years and years that they've been making their claims and pushing this. And finally you get to the place where, you're getting the settlement. And now Bayer is continuing to press their case to the Supreme Court. And you have to think like having the administration push in this direction is going to help them to try to overturn, this direction of actually paying the people who were infected by this. But, I don't know how much I don't have a great sense of how important the Maha coalition really was to Trump's election, but I think it was a significant development, like in terms of, I don't think it was a huge percentage, but he didn't win by a huge percentage. So it only took a few percentage points of these sort of like former liberal hippie moms who are upset about COVID and COVID restrictions. And then they, are kind of like flirting with anti-vax, which used to be more of like a lefty position than a right-wing position, to come into the coalition to help get him elected. And then he just instantly turns on them. Yeah,
I agree with your point. I think the overriding issue here, though, that everybody can kind of see is just the corruption angle of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That, like, you don't even have to be Maha to see the corruption angle of it. that you know that there's these, you know, big chemical companies are dumping money into, you know, Trump's campaign, and Lord only knows whether they're probably making the trek to Mar-a-Lago now and just cutting him flat out checks for him to have personally, right? Knowing how corrupt he is. But everybody knows that, everybody sees that this is how this government works. It is literally pay to play. This is the same government that's doing pay to play pardons, where you go to Mar-a-Lago, you give him $1 million, he'll pardon whoever the hell you want him to pardon. You know what I'm saying? There's somebody who was found guilty of fraud, locked up, Trump pardoned him, did fraud again, was locked up, Trump pardoned him again. He pardoned the same fraudster twice. Like, this is who we're talking about here. Yeah. There's nothing, he's flirting with giving Ghislaine Maxwell a pardon. He's already given her immense favorable treatment, basically putting her in a resort prison. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, there are no guardrails whatsoever. This guy, I mean, you saw all this stuff when it came to climate change. Now, like, they're removing the ability of the EPA to be the EPA. They're like, I know your whole thing is environmental protection. We're going to ban you from doing environmental protection. We're going to say that's all totally illegitimate.
Yeah.
And you get, and this is happening at the same time, you get all these new reports that are like, oh yeah, climate change is actually worse than the worst case scenario that we're witnessing right now. Like, things that they thought would happen in 2100, they're like, it's going to happen by 2050.
RFK Jr. is such a fraud.
Total fraud.
It's just such a fraud.
Total fraud.
He's supposedly an environmentalist, right?
My ass cheeks.
Supposedly cared about this stuff. I mean, it's just like, the only thing he really seems like he's doing is these like weird videos with Kid Rock where he's doing a cold plunge in his jeans.
Gay porn.
Know?
He's doing gay porn with Kid Rock. That's what they're doing.
Softcore gay porn.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I mean, that's the other thing that's so grotesque about this administration. It's like the influencer administration. Pete Hegseth and Dr. Oz just did some weird like influencer. We're going to pose, we're doing tree pull-ups and whatever. As we're going to war with Iran, and the Secretary of War is out there doing these weird influencer postings. So that seems to be what his whole thing is. I think he's a total narcissist. I think he 100%. Just likes to be in the spotlight. However, whatever principles he has to, that he ever claimed to have, that he has to abandon, he doesn't really care. And then the, you know, the Epstein connection is another question mark there.
Hey, Kid Rock, come over here. Watch me do a cold plunge wearing my jeans. When I get out, you'll see my little bulge. Do you want to touch it? You want to touch my little bulge, Kid Rock? Are you going to do some push-ups for me? I like it when you do that, baby.
I will say RFK Jr. definitely into the ladies, though. There's no question about that.
True, yeah. I mean, he's like, in many ways, the ultimate crank.
Yes.
He's the ultimate, he's like the platonic ideal of the crank. He's on an all-meat diet. I heard them talking about this on the Majority Report. He's on an all-meat diet, and he also is popping zins like a fucking frat boy. Like, bro, you're all nicotined out and you're only eating meat. Homie must be constipated beyond imagination, bro. That's like a once every 2 week shitter right there. Are you kidding me?
Nicotine has that impact? I didn't know that.
Absolutely, yeah. Nicotine backs you up.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely does.
Was not aware.
Yeah. I mean, he also hopped on the methylene blue craze. You know what methylene blue is?
Yeah.
It was the fad right wing, like, this fixes your mitochondria if you drink it, so just have the methylene blue. Alex Jones fucking sells it. It's such a giant scam. You drink it, your tongue turns blue. You ready for this? They've done autopsies on people who've been given methylene blue after they die, and you can see their whole brain is blue.
Oh.
Their brain gets dyed blue.
That seems bad.
To be fair, it is used in certain instances to treat certain illnesses, but these guys take it almost like recreationally because they feel like it helps their mitochondria or some shit. And he's also 70 years old and taking testosterone, again, like he's a fucking bodybuilder in his 20s.
Yeah.
That's what he does. That's why he looks the way that he looks. It's not like, oh, he's actually healthy. No, he's been taking testosterone for God knows how long. He takes a peptide to make his skin darker. Did you know that?
Yeah.
This is something that originated in the bodybuilding community. There's a reason why he always looks like he's super tan, because he takes a peptide that does that. And he eats roadkill. He literally ate roadkill, which is how we got that fucking brainworm. And he also, remember when he was bathing in sewage water? Remember that?
Yeah, that's right.
He posted, here's me with my grandson and we're bathing in sewage water, but it's good for your mitochondria also. He's a disturbing man. He's a disturbing man.
He is, on every level.
Yeah.
Every level.
Hey guys, had an awesome Crystal, Kyle, and Friends episode this week with just me and Crystal. We have some amazing updates, some spicy, juicy, honestly disturbing updates when it comes to the Epstein files. You don't want to miss this particular segment, which you'll sign up on Substack below, and you'll be able to get the entire thing.